Hello, ladies. I am coming on tonight to do something wildly different. I'm going to interview my little old mama, Genie Stotz, who is 89 years old and went with the Red Cross post 9/11 to New York City to help house the people there. So this is Mama. Say hi, Mama.
Say hi, Mama. Hi.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you a brief backstory. Excuse me if we don't get this right. We're not rehearsed or anything. We just went over it a little bit. I know some of y'all are teachers. If you ever want her for your classroom, she's willing to do that. She does have a lot of PTSD from it, so give her grace. And I just thought you would like a little brief synopsis of what it was like for there in the city post 9/11. So without further ado, here's my mama, Genie Stotz, and then I'll be asking questions from the side. So just hold my phone and look up here.
Oh, hold your phone and look up here.
Okay. So how do you feel before 9/11? How do you feel like God prepared you for it?
I believe that the training that I got while I was just doing the emergency stuff at my home, the things that we were required to do when we got there was totally foreign to us. We had a training book that we had used. Every person that ever was part of the Red Cross got this book. We had to study it, know it inside out. And we all took our books with us. And when we got there, the first meeting that we got, they said it was a training meeting, which surprised us because we thought we were trained. But when we got there, they had, the question was, how many of you brought your book? And we all raised our hands because we were so proud of ourselves. And they said, put them away, because what you're about to do is something that we have no book for. We have no, it's all new. So we're working with what we've got, and we'll change it as we go. And we were given 3 sheets of paper with some basic ideas of what we were supposed to do. And as I remember it now, we had to take our luggage to a room and leave it, and they took us to the place where we were going to work, and they gave us a half of a table, one of the long tables, and they gave us the papers that we had to fill out and an idea of what we could and couldn't do, and we went to work. We were totally went in blind. And now, while I don't do it anymore, I did it for 16 years with the Red Cross, but I'm retired now. And what we did before and how we did it then at that particular time and what we had to do when we got home, everything changed. And my perspective of life itself changed, and how vulnerable we are. If you don't have God, I don't know how you make it through a day. I really don't, because everything is just out of whack. That's why I like being outside, because the trees, the grass, the sun, the birds, everything like that, God made. Men didn't make it, and it's God, and it draws me closer. And that's the way I feel about it.
How do you feel? No, you don't have to. How do you feel like God helped you day to day up there?
How did I feel about it? we were so busy that I don't think I thought about it. I think more I felt it. I felt support. Because what we did, oh my gosh, what we did is just, if you didn't have God with you, it was just, I knew a couple of ladies that were not with God at all, and they had a terrible, terrible time relating to all of this misery and hurt. And we didn't understand it any better than anybody else did beforehand. So, but we didn't really have time to even help each other. It was so busy. We would get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they were mostly Chinese at that time from the garment area. And they were in a line across the street, all the way down the alley and down to the next street. And here is something that when God talks to me, I just feel it. And this is so silly, but these people, when they got there, they would be there by 4 in the morning, and they never went to the bathroom. And I found that out. One of the ladies asked me to use the restroom, and I took her into a totally different area where we weren't supposed to be, just so she could use the bathroom. And she told me how long they had been out there, and the fact that nobody went to the bathroom. And so I went in and talked to the, well, I guess you would call it the head honcho, I don't remember what he was called, and told him about it and asked him what we could do about it. And by the next day, they had the porta potties out there for these people, because that's what we did. And I feel like that, as silly as it sounds, that God said these people need extra help, get it, and I did. And I'm very, not proud, like look at me, but I am proud of the fact that we were able to do that for them.
How do you remember any, I know your job was to talk to each individual person. Do you remember any in particular that comes to the front of your mind where their faith stood out?
Actually, no, and that's a sad thing. They never seemed to equate what was happening, that they could get personal help if they had God. It was very, very strange. We had a lot of ethnic groups. Like I said, most of them were Chinese, but there were several different countries represented, and none of them seemed to talk at all about God. Even when they would come in, and we find out that some of their people, or a husband, a wife, a daughter, a son, whatever, was in those buildings. And we, meaning the Red Cross, we made arrangements to bring their whole families from whatever country that they were in to come to the United States in order to be here when the bodies were found. And that's where you found God, was around the area that we were allowed, as close as we could get. And people would come up to you with a picture. I can't say it. And they would say, "Have you seen her? Have you seen him? This is my daughter, this is my husband." And we would have to say, "I am so sorry. No, I haven't seen him."
How did God help you through?
Well, you're looking at me now. That's the way I handled it then. I would hold my tears. I would touch if they would allow it. And I would say, I am so, so sorry. I haven't seen this person, but I hope you find them.
Did you see any good while you were up there?
Yes, I did, and it was from other states. They brought food. They brought this from Louisiana. They brought this big, big cooker. They stood out there all day long and cooked food and handed it out. And the homeless that were homeless before this ever happened found out that there was free food, and they would come up and stand to the side, not knowing what was going to happen to them because they're used to being pushed around. And they said, "Look, come on over here and get your food." And then you could see some of the T-shirts had God-inspired verses or whatever on their shirts.
I remember you said the Baptist men were there.
The Baptist men cooked meals for our we call them herbs, emergency vehicles is what they were. And they were little camper-looking things that had the stove inside of them. And then they served the food out of the side. But the Baptist men, it was a special group that they had, and they came, brought the food, brought everything that they needed, and they cooked, and then we loaded it on the herbs and went into the areas as far as Canal Street. And that was the line. We were given a map, and the line was Canal Street. And if you lived on the east side of Canal Street, you got whatever you needed. But if you lived on the other side of the street, that was it. It was over. And there wasn't anything we could do because we weren't allowed.
What would you like to tell these ladies that I'm not asking, maybe?
That humanity, all of those people that was affected, a lot of them died from lung disease, from breathing that air. But that means there are still some that are alive, because I breathed that air and I was sick for like 10 years. But they're still there, and they're still hurting. And when you pray, don't just wait for 9/11. Pray for suffering people in this world. But I did have one really good thing that happened, and it's sad, but it's not. That almost at the end of my term, I was there for 6 weeks. Almost at the end of it, the air had cleared up, and the people were construction workers, whatever. They were clearing that area out. And what a lot of people don't know is that underneath those buildings, there was a whole other world. There was all kinds of specialty shops. There was a bank. There were these like Gucci stuff, really pricey things. This whole mall was really, really where I would never see anyway. And in the bank was gold. I don't remember how much, but it was an awful, awful lot of pure gold. And it was in a vault. And while I was there walking by one day, and they were doing everything that they were doing, and they said, I heard some of the workers talking. They said, well, I think we're getting close. And so later, this guy let out a yell, and somebody else, they all started hollering and clapping and laughing, and one of the workmen was standing there, and I said, "What happened?" Because, there wasn't very much happy there at that time. And he said, "They found the gold." And that was just the funniest thing in the world to me at that time. I just thought that was hilarious that finally found it. But on the other hand, there was a rule that they made up at the very beginning when they started doing this excavation, because they were looking for bodies. And when they were found, they would take them, the body was, whether it was a whole body or just an arm, a leg, a head, whatever they found, they would take the ambulance, and there was always one there all the time. And if they found a body or a part of a body, they would beep this horn on this ambulance, and everything stopped. And it got totally, totally quiet. Even the people walking on the sidewalks just looked like they were frozen. And they stayed that way until the ambulance made another beep and left. And the time that I was there, the guy was standing there. It wasn't the same man that I'd seen before, but I said, "What did they find?" And he said, "A finger." And everything stopped while they took it and put it on the ambulance and took it to Pier 96. And that's where the bodies were. And one day I was in the lobby, and this one group of, there were of our organization, but not any of our people, worked in this group, and they are always so solemn, real sour looking all the time. And me in my mouth, I made a remark that they just always seem so sad. And one of the ladies that was standing there, she said, "Oh, those are Pier 96. They have to assemble and identify the bodies." And that was one thing I never, ever could have done.
How do you feel like God protected you while you were up there?
How did he protect me? It's an odd question. I felt his presence. I never, ever felt like I was alone. That I always felt protected. Because one time I got lost on the subway, and it was really crowded, and most of the group was on one side of the aisle, and I got pushed over onto the other side of the aisle. And when the train stopped, all of our people got off, but I couldn't get off because there were so many people between me and the door. And so the train started, and I thought, "Oh Lord, I don't even know where I'm going. Tell me what to do." And so I went over and pushed and wiggled until I got to the door. And I waited until the very next stop, and I jumped out. And I looked around, and I saw people that were climbing the steps and then going over like a little bridge over the trains and down to the other side. And I felt like I needed to go that way. And so I went that way and up and over and down, and I waited there, and another train came, and I got on it, and I rode back one stop and got off, and I started walking, and I was just praying, help me go in the right direction, because I don't know where I'm at. And then I saw in the distance one of the young men that we were working with, and here he come. He was looking for me, because when everybody else started to go to work, they couldn't find me. And so they had sent him to check the train to see if they could find me and get me to work. And they were all so upset until I got in, and I just put a big smile on my face. I made it back. And I was so scared, but I didn't let them know how scared I'd been because I didn't want to scare anybody else.
I know you've got PTSD from it all. How did God comfort you once you got home?
You mean like today?
No, not today. Like the first year.
The first year, I was sick for a year. I don't remember what it is. Oh, the CD. I met a Mennonite girl. She looked to be about 16. And they had come from Minnesota, I think. And she was just standing there and she saw me. And we had our jackets, our shirts that identified us for what we were. And she saw me and she came over and she gave me a CD. And it was from their choir. And when I would get really depressed, I could put that on. And the first one that hit me was, "It is well with my soul." And they sang it beautifully. And so then any time that I get really down, I would play it. And sometimes I would play it and play it and play it and play it several times during the day. It was just a blessing that I had. And then one of my friends was having a hard time too, so I loaned it to her. And she made a copy of it so that she could keep it. And she told me that I saw her one day and she said, "It is well." And so that really touched my heart because it really meant a lot. And then I let somebody else use it and they scratched it. So I guess I depended on it too much, and that's it.
Okay, so lastly, how do you feel like God is helping you today, now that you're able to at least speak on it a little bit? How do you feel like God is helping you through it?
I just depend on God when I get up in the morning. It's good morning, God, and if it's raining, thank you for the rain. If the sun's shining, thank you for the sun. And that's the way I start my day, with thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just believe that God just stays with me all day. Sometimes I'd go and do something stupid and I would kind of wish that God didn't see that, but it's okay. I think I made him laugh.
Well, I thank you for talking to us. I know it's difficult, and but I know these ladies were probably curious and didn't know to be curious. I just wanted to say thank you for talking to us, and I love you very much, and I really appreciate you, and I know all that you did, and some of those people up there probably still think about you.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies. Love you.